say? How life in a week?
And I woke up with spots on my face from germs.
Hold up, I want that too. Look at me, big house, cruising through picturesque landscapes while others are stuck in their 9 to 5. Living the dream. This is what entrepreneurship looks like, right? No, that's bullshit. I'm so tired of all these lifestyle entrepreneurs who show you everything except how they make money. They sell you the dream, but never show the actual work. So I'm doing something different. I'm taking you behind the real curtain. No fake AMGs, no rented penthouses, no circus. Just a raw, unfiltered journey of what it takes to build a startup from zero. This episode is about my first 2 weeks. But first, let me quickly explain how I got here. Through my previous work with other startups, I realized distribution is the new mode. As technology is turning into a commodity and building products becomes easier, having a reliable way to get customers is the biggest differentiator and most important success factor for our business. And personal branding is the best way to achieve that mode, because people like to trust people, not faceless companies. So last November, I challenged myself to post 3 times a week on LinkedIn for a whole year, just to see what would happen. In 3 months, I went from 0 to over 10,000 followers, and I discovered firsthand how powerful personal branding is, but also how insanely difficult and time-consuming it can be. This perfectly demonstrates how you get ideas to work on. You don't sit around thinking. Ideas often only show up after you start working on something. So I started coming up with ways to improve this content creation process. Wouldn't it be cool to just brain dump your thoughts for a couple of minutes by talking and then have AI transform this into content? A few weeks later, I built a first prototype together with 2 friends of mine at a Y Combinator hackathon in San Francisco. Nothing fancy, just a simple tool that turned conversations with an AI agent into social media posts. We quickly threw together a landing page, picked a name, Publyc, and launched. Posted about it on LinkedIn, submitted to Product Hunt, and within a few weeks, mostly through my LinkedIn content, again the power of personal branding, we had over 400 signups on our waitlist. Damn, we somehow stumbled upon something people wanted. But here's where we screwed up. On the product side, we tried to serve everyone instead of focusing on one specific user in mind. That's why we got a lot of mixed feedback from the first testers. Overall, the product was way too basic and static, not personal enough to each user, which is kind of important in personal branding. And in general, the 3 of us weren't really aligned on if and how to continue working on it after the hackathon. We got excited about the validation, but never committed. We all had other stuff going on, so we abandoned it. I got distracted by other opportunities, worked on cool projects with my marketing agency. One could also say I was procrastinating going all in with building a startup. But then I finally made the step. You can watch my last video about it. I shut down my agency, moved to Taiwan, and had to decide what to build next. And still, a few months after the hackathon, people kept reaching out to me about Publyc. When can I test it? How do I build my personal brand? Can you help me with LinkedIn content? And in parallel, a bunch of other tools successfully launched that were targeting a similar problem space, distribution through personal branding. So all of that are signs that we might have been onto something back then. So I decided to give Publyc a proper chance. Solo this time, and with everything I've learned about AI, personal branding, and what people want. My lessons so far: Step 1, work on ideas to get ideas. Step 2, launch fast and ugly to get real feedback. And Step 3, double down when you feel genuine pull from the market. Alright, with this backstory in mind, let's get into the first 2 weeks of building Publyc. Okay, day 1 of working on the new Publyc. Let's go. Alright, first step is setting up the Notion workspace for this new venture. I already have everything in Notion. I like it, I know it, it just works for pretty much everything. So I'm also gonna go with Notion as the knowledge base and overall organizational tool. I already have a bunch of notes from previous brainstorming and the hackathon project, and it's pure chaos. And from my experience, if you don't set up this baseline structure from the very first minute, it will end up in chaos. So I'm gonna start with that, but I'm also gonna do it quick and don't over engineer it, because especially Notion can make it very tempting to build beautiful, crazy dashboards and spend 2 days in just setting up the structure and completely making an artwork out of it. That's pseudo productivity. I'm don't want to go into this. So let's make it quick, let's make it effective, and have this as our base.
Nice.
My heart been telling me yes, man been telling me no. Lockdown, I've been inside. Long time I ain't been on my home. When they call, don't answer the phone. I just wanna be on my own. I get up and get in my zone. I can't explain this feeling. Everyone said that they love me. Liars simply don't know.
Alright, I just got back from the gym, and in 2 minutes I'm having a call with someone interested in Publyc. He proactively reached out to me through a mutual connection. Let's see how it goes. Learn more about the requirements of busy B2B founders when it comes to LinkedIn marketing. And remember the mom test. If you're building anything, I highly recommend to read the mom test. It completely transformed how I approach customer discovery. Because people lie to be nice. They say your idea is great even if they would never use it. So the core principle of this book is don't pitch, listen. So instead of talking about your solution, dig deep into their actual needs and behavior. Not hypotheticals about the future, but specifics about their past. Over the next few days, I had multiple of these conversations, and the patterns were clear. B2B founders seem to be the most interesting initial target group. They know the power of personal branding and that LinkedIn can be extremely powerful for client acquisition, but they're overwhelmed. They don't know how to get started. They want to be consistent, but they don't have time. And they have all of those ideas, but they don't know how to turn them into content that actually works. So with this deepened understanding, it was time to start thinking about a solution and how to build it. Okay, today is a cozy rainy day in Taiwan, and I'm going to sit down the next couple of hours and actually learn, just like in the good old university days, but compared to those days, it's actually hands-on and usable. And I'm going to have a look into MCP, Model Context Protocol, which is like a way of AI communicating with each other and having access to tools that otherwise would need like a visual interface. And I think it's very powerful, especially when looking into the voice direction for the tool I'm building. I want to go all in on voice as the main interaction method. And I think for this, understanding MCP and knowing how to build with it and how to leverage it can be very powerful. So let's log in and go through the course, but then build as quickly as possible, because sure, you can do all the courses in the world. That doesn't really help. It fosters your knowledge, but to truly understand something and not just know about it, you need to go through the pain yourself and actually build.
It means it gives all the items which we have. It's the get method, selecting a repeat.
I just wanna be on my own. I get up and get in my zone. All of these empty promises, it's like I don't know what's real.
Okay, I spent the last 2 days experimenting with Cloud MCP, trying out different integrations, ways to automate. Yeah, just figuring out ways on how I can improve on my LinkedIn content and build automations that actually work before I step into building an actual SaaS and coding everything and creating the platform. It makes sense to just prototype and solve my own problems first and see what sticks, and then think about, okay, how can I package that into a scalable product that actually also works for others. And what happened this morning is that I got access to Stanley. Stanley is a LinkedIn automation tool that helps you to create content and grow. And it's not just any tool, but it's probably the one that went the most viral. It's built by 2 entrepreneurs that know the game of distribution. They built the whole prototype in Publyc. They have very good relations to influencers and creators through their main startup, so they know how to leverage this. And they started with a big buzz. Within just 2 weeks, they reached 100K ARR. They locked it in a private beta, made it very exclusive. They partnered with massive LinkedIn influencers like Justin Welsh, who said Stanley is not just this GPT rapper, it works so well. And also here, for example, this guy they partnered up with, and promoted it very hard as the LinkedIn tool that works better than anything else. Here, testimonials, they guarantee like 1 outlier post a week or you get your money back. So really, really aggressive marketing, and it works. Like they have a huge wait list and it seems to be doing really well. And this morning I got access to it and tested it out for the first time. Expectations were very high after all the marketing hype. And it turns out it is just a cheap, simple GPT wrapper. And based on my learnings from the last 2 days of experimenting with MCP, I managed to rebuild the core functionality of Stanley in under 60 minutes. What Stanley does is it scrapes your LinkedIn in the background, and then like the first thing is they tell you to ask it what you know about me, and then it gives you like a nice summary. I did the same. I built a LinkedIn scraper that automatically fetches my profile and my up-to-date posts and post performance, and connected that via an N8N MCP server to Claude. I then asked Claude, hey, what do you know about me? Please analyze my LinkedIn post. And it basically did the same analysis, even a bit more in depth. So sure, you can tweak that by writing a better prompt. I didn't give it any prompt. I just say analyze my LinkedIn post. And it's pretty similar to Stanley. Then one of the main features of Stanley is to give you post ideas based on what you've done so far and what worked in the past. I asked Claude the same. Again, no fancy prompt. And it came up with pretty decent post ideas. I would say it's extremely comparable to the output from Stanley. So what are the takeaways? I think there's a lot that can be learned from this. First of all, building is so easy. There are really no excuses anymore to not get out there, experiment with all the AI tools that you have to your disposal, mix and match them, think of workflows you can automate, of value you can provide with your unique insights and experience. So even if you have no technical experience whatsoever, watch a few YouTube tutorials, ask Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, and just spend a few days experimenting with those tools, figure out stuff, think of concrete project you want to build first for yourself, and then think of ways on how you can get it to others, and just do stuff. There's never been a better time for that. Second, I think it's very important to think of a clear product mode you can create. As you can see on the example with Stanley, I was able to recreate the value their product provides in less than an hour for a fraction of the cost. Stanley charges $100 a month for a subscription. This automation basically cost me maybe $1 to $2 in credits. So this is not defendable at all. Defendable to other startups, to individuals, nor to big tech. This is something I'm really thinking deeply about with Publyc. How can we create an experience and value that is not reproducible in such a short amount of time, and that is not easily endangered by a new release of one of the big AI companies? Like when OpenAI releases GPT-5, you don't want it to directly wipe out your entire startup. But third and most importantly, don't care too much about the product. Think of distribution, because this is the thing that matters most. Sure, I can spend 5 months locking in, trying to build the perfect LinkedIn automation tool that is way better than Stanley, way more advanced, has a clear product mode. But in the end, Stanley is probably more successful. And why is that? Because they really nailed distribution and they really understood the importance of distribution. So I can hate on the product all I want. I mean, you also need to consider that they only started working on it a couple of weeks ago, but they are successful with it. And this just shows that you can just do stuff, and when you market it right, when you build in public, when you share what you do, when you're maybe a little bit over the top in your marketing claims, it will probably work, and you will create value for people who are not that technical and not willing to figure out the solutions themselves, which is the big majority of people. So yeah, with those learnings, I will get back to building Publyc and thinking of ways to be better than this on a product level, but not overthinking that, which is maybe a trap that I fell into too often in the last weeks. And yeah, think a bit more about the actual distribution and positioning and growth strategies for it.
Quieres divertir con encanto y con primor, solo tienes que vivir un verano en Nueva York.
The ladies just left to go partying tonight. and I'm sitting here in my room working on an automation I want to finish. I'm sharing this because that's part of the reality when you want to build your own business, especially in the beginning when it's about getting started, getting things off the ground. You can't have it all. It's all about discipline, consistency, and making sacrifices in other areas of life in order to perform in this one area that you want to focus on. So for me right now, this means sitting here coding instead of going out with them dancing. And that's okay, because this is the main goal I set for myself right now. And I'm aware that this means compromising on other areas. The important thing is to be aware of this, especially if you're just starting out and don't have much entrepreneurial experience yet, and manage the expectations accordingly for yourself, but also for others, to communicate clearly and have clear rules when you're really working hard and when you have time to spend with the people around you. I, for example, have the rough rule to have like 1 day a week completely free, where I can do whatever I want, and then the other 6 days full locked in discipline mode. Sometimes it's like split into 2 half days. Sometimes it's 1.5 weeks locked in and then like a little bit longer break. But this is the rough schedule that I'm going with, and that works out well. And I just had a free day 2 days ago surfing. So that means now no free day, locked in, working. Yeah, those were the first 2 weeks. I set up the project infrastructure, analyzed all our previous learnings from the hackathon days, talked to potential customers using proper discovery methods. I created a new landing page based on those learnings, did a technical deep dive into MCP and state-of-the-art AI development, analyzed some of the competitor tools, and most importantly, I built, not the product yet, but a working prototype that improves my own LinkedIn workflow, custom automations with Cloud MCP and N8N that actually save me hours each week. I genuinely believe MCP is the most powerful tool for prototyping AI products right now, and in general for being more productive with AI without having to rely on a dozen specialized tools. If you want to learn how to use it yourself, I created an in-depth guide that helps you get started. Link in the description. To be honest, in the last 2 weeks I felt like I wasn't moving fast enough. I was a bit disappointed with myself, but now looking back at the footage and seeing what I built and learned, I'm actually quite happy with what I did. That's another benefit of documenting the journey. It helps me see what I'm actually doing, not just what my inner critic tells me. But of course, there's always room to improve. And yes, I tried to take 1 day off from work each week without compromising on my routines. Last week we went surfing. This week we went to a theme park. The brain needs space to process. The body needs ways to recover from sitting at a desk and looking at screens all day. So I found those rest days to be really important for me. And whenever I delayed the rest day, I immediately noticed it negatively affecting my productivity and well-being. It's like debt that accumulates in some way or another. It needs to be paid off. Might as well pay it off directly and enjoy what life has to offer.
Leon has just entered the studio. We're going to have him on shortly. Leon, it's a pleasure, my friend. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Happy to be here. In general, I'm passionate about the intersection of technology and storytelling. That's something that has been driving me for my whole life. I think the human connection is most important, and I think the best way to get this human connection is by building in public. That's what I'm a huge fan of. Really sharing your journey as a founder. Also making clear, hey, I haven't it all figured out, but I just learn as I go, and being really genuine about what you share, and also just give value to others without expecting anything in return. I think that's the best way to build this trust. The only thing it takes is a lot of time and effort, because it's really a long-term game. It's not like paid ads where you can just throw in money and get the results, but you have to invest a lot in the beginning to get things going, and it's this exponential curve.
Following Leon's journey as he's building this product out, as he's building an audience online, and betting on him to do incredibly well and do incredible things is one of the few convictions that I have in my life. You find people that you come across and you just want to see them win.
You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever, and that will make all the difference.